All right, graphs of inverses, okay? So if they give you a graph and they want the inverse, all they're saying is that you're gonna flip the x's and y's. So if you haven't, I'm talking about ordered pairs, by the way. So if you were to start with this point, 5, -2, it would have an inverse corresponding point at -2, 5. All we did is switch those two values. Don't worry about positive or negative, just flip them. That's all you're doing. Now, it's true that the inverse of exchanges x and y, that's true, but it's kind of like it mirrors itself over the line, and this, I don't think it's really crucial for us today, but it flips over the line, y equals x, okay? And if you were to look at a graph that was proportioned well, I'm not saying this one is, but it would be kind of like the diagonal line. Eesh, I'll try to do this with technology because my drawings suck, but it has to go through the origin, right? And then it flips. So what I mean by that is if I had a point over here that I started with, its inverse would be over here, and vice versa as well. Okay, so, or if I had a point right here, it would flip over that line right here. Okay, I'm saying flip, but it's mirrored. I think you guys prefer that word, mirrored. It's mirrored over that line. So on this graph, we have this this line right here. That's the line of reflection, or the mirroring line. So everything that's on one side just gets mirrored over that line. It's just diagonal now. So it's kind of like the axis of symmetry for our parabolas, but now it's diagonal. Okay, so it says sketch the graph and the inverse. No problem. Right, this one is already in slope-intercept form. You could just use the table if you wanted to, but I'm going to use slope-intercept form. I have my slope, and I'm doing slope-intercept really because it's kind of like a review. My slope is showing as -3 over 2. This is rise over run. So the 3 that I've assigned the negative to, it says down 3 because it's negative, and then the 2 is positive, so I'm going to go to the right 2. That's my slope. Then I have my y-intercept, which is showing as just -6. That's the ordered pair 0, -6. So that I have this much information is great, because with this I can now graph the line. All I need first is my y-intercept. So let's get this on there. 0, -6. Boom, I found it.
I'm sorry, what did you?
Now the slope says down 3 to the right 2. So I go down 3 to the right 2, and I get this point. That's all I can fit, but I can go to the left, actually. I can go left 2, up 3. To get this point, left 2, up 3. There it is. Left 2, up 3. I think I can fit a couple more. Let's see. Left 2, up 3, left 2, up 3, boom. So I get this line right here. This is my original line. So let's get this on the graph. I will draw it in red. And I will use technology. There we go. It's not too bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Okay, so this is the line. Now it's going to reflect over this blue line of reflection, mirroring line, whatever you want to call it. And then, like I said, you're kind of looking at each of these ordered pairs, and then you can flip them, right? But I'm going to use the equation for it. So a couple different ways. You could look at all these ordered pairs that we have on the graph. You could invert them, so you're just switching the x and y values, and then you could get a new line, something like this one right here. But I'm going to use the equation. Okay, so I need my inverse function. I'm going to start with my regular function, and then I'm going to replace the y with an x, and then the x with the y. Everything else stays the same, so it equals -3 over 2. Now it's times by y, and then -6. But now we need to solve for the y value. So let's get started there. With principles of equality, I would add the 6 first. Okay, so then I'm going to show it as 6 plus x equals -3/2 y, and then we zeroed out the 6's, which is what we wanted. So kind of like I did the last problem, I'm going to do this in 2 steps. Some people would just say I'm going to divide everything by -3/2, and some of you guys have your rules for that, but I'm going to assume that we don't remember that stuff. So I'm going to just multiply both sides by 2 like this. Now what that does is it gets rid of that divide by 2, and it just leaves me with -3y's. And then I've got 2 to distribute on the left side. So that's 2 times 6, which is 12, 2 times x, which is positive 2x's. So some of you may have gotten the final equation here if you had divided everything by negative 3 halves. But again, if we don't remember that, then doing it in 2 steps is fine. Last of all, I need to divide all the terms by this negative 3 here. Okay, so 12 divided by negative 3 is negative 4. 2 divided by negative 3, I'm just going to show that as negative 2/3. That's how many x's I have. And this equals my y, which is, as we know, is the inverse because we inverted it way back here. So again, I did not show those the -1 inverses because it can get in the way of what we're trying to do. It can get mixed up. So I just put it in here at the end. I know this is my inverse function. This is good because this inverse function also, it has a y-intercept there at -4. It's kind of in b plus mx equals y format, but I now have a y-intercept here at 0, -4, which I can put on the graph. 0, -4, boom, right there. And then I've got my slope for this one. This slope is showing as, I'm going to show it as -2/3. So again, that's going to be down 2 to the right 3 from that ordered pair that I've already put on the graph. So down 2 to the right 3 gives me this point. Down 2 to the right 3, down 2 to the right 3 gives me these. I can go to the left as well, so that'd be left 3 up 2, right there. Left 3 up 2, left 3 up 2, left 3 up 2, and we get this line. I'll do this one in green. Yeah, something like this.
Where's the 0?
Now, did we get any inverse values? Because we should have. Okay, so if you looked at the original y-intercept here with 0, -6, its inverse would have been over here at -6, 0, which is showing on the graph. And if you would have taken our second y-intercept, the inverse is y-intercept, and inverted that, you would have gotten this point right here at -4, 0. So it looks like at least these values check out, but all the other ones should as well. Like having this point at 2, -9, you should have something at -9, 2, what am I thinking? -9, 2, and all of these should be inverted in terms of their ordered pairs.